My name is Rachel Donovan. I'm 30 years old, and until about 6 weeks ago, I genuinely believed that the most loving thing I could do for my family was stay quiet about how much I actually gave them. I own a mid-size interior design firm in Charlotte, North Carolina. We do residential staging, full renovations, commercial interiors. I have wholesale accounts with 14 furniture vendors, 2 flooring suppliers, a lighting company, and a network of contractors I've been building since I was 24 and talking my way into rooms full of people twice my age. I didn't inherit any of this. I built it by working 12-hour days, while my college friends were sleeping in on Saturdays. My family is proud of me in the way that families are proud of the person they also don't fully understand. My mom introduces me at church as my daughter, the decorator. My dad tells his golf buddies I flip houses, which is not what I do, but I've stopped correcting him. My younger brother, who is 26 and genuinely one of the funniest people I know, has always been the one everyone rooted for in a softer, more open way. He struggled with direction for years, bounced between jobs, moved back home twice, needed help more often than either of us would say out loud. When he got engaged last spring and told me he and his fiancée were buying a house, my whole family treated it like a miracle. My mom cried. My dad hugged him in the kitchen for what felt like 3 full minutes, and I was happy, honestly, genuinely happy. He was building something real. The house was beautiful, a 4-bedroom craftsman in a suburb just outside the city. Good bones, terrible finishes. The kind of place that would look stunning with the right eye on it. My mom called me the day after they signed the papers. "You have to do the interiors," she said. "You know people. You can get it done right. It would mean everything to your brother. He can't afford to furnish it properly on his own, but if you helped, if you really helped, Lauren, it would set them up for life." She said set them up for life like she was reading from a greeting card. And I, being exactly the kind of person I apparently was at that point in my life, said yes before she finished the sentence. I spent the next 3 months designing that house. Full interiors, living room, dining room, master bedroom, 2 guest rooms, the kitchen, finish out. I called in every favor I had. I used my wholesale accounts to bring the furniture cost down by almost 40%. I waived my own design fee entirely. When the contractor I trusted most charged me the friend rate, I didn't tell my brother, I just paid it. When I found a lighting fixture that was back-ordered but perfect for the entryway, I called the vendor directly and pushed it through. All told, the value of what I contributed materials, labor discounts, waived fees, sourcing hours came to somewhere around $54,000. I tracked it because I track everything. I'm a business owner. Numbers are how I make sense of the world. My brother called me during that time more than he had in years. He'd text photos of paint swatches, ask my opinion on countertop finishes, send voice memos that started with "okay, so real question." I thought we were building something together. I thought this was a chapter of our relationship I'd look back on and feel good about. I didn't realize I was being managed out of the story while I was still writing it. The call that changed everything came on a Thursday afternoon in the middle of a client walkthrough. Marcus, who runs the furniture accounts for my main supplier, texted first, "Hey, got a weird one. Can you call me when you're free?" I wrapped up with my client, stepped outside, and called him back. "Hey," he said, and there was something careful in his voice I didn't recognize right away. "So, yesterday I got a call from a woman who identified herself as your brother's future mother-in-law. She said she needed to redirect the final delivery, the sectional, the dining set, the master bedroom furniture to a storage unit in Mooresville. She said you'd authorized it, and that she was handling the logistics from here on out." I stood very still in the parking lot. "I didn't authorize anything," I said. "Yeah," Marcus replied. "That's what I figured. I checked the account. Nothing in writing from you." So I told her all orders require written authorization from the account holder. She got pretty upset about that. Said something about how the account holder was just a vendor contact and that the family was the real client. I want to be clear about what went through my mind in that moment. It wasn't rage. It was the quiet, precise feeling of something clicking into place that you almost didn't want to understand. Like seeing the edge of a math problem before you've finished solving it and already knowing the answer is going to be ugly. I thanked Marcus, told him to hold every single delivery until he heard from me directly in writing, and sat down on a parking bumper with my phone in my hands. I spent that evening going through my email. Here is the thing about running a business. Everything is documented. Contracts, invoices, correspondence, confirmation threads. When I'd set up the design project for my brother's house, I'd created a shared folder and CC'd myself on every vendor communication. What I found when I opened that folder and sorted by date wasn't just a couple of strange emails. It was a pattern that had been building for months while I was busy thinking I was doing something kind. 3 weeks earlier, an email from my mom to my future sister-in-law. Subject line: housewarming coordination. We want the day to feel like a celebration of what you and my son have built together. I know Rachel has been involved in the design process, but I'd like to keep the focus on you two, not on her work. Rachel has a tendency to make her projects feel like her projects, if you know what I mean. As far as our friends and family are concerned, this is your home that you've made beautiful together. Rachel won't mind. She does this because she loves her brother. She doesn't need the credit. I read it twice. Then I read it 3 times. I want you to really sit with that sentence. She doesn't need the credit. As though what I'd given 3 months of my professional skill. My vendor relationships. $54,000 was just some background service. Wallpaper. Infrastructure that shouldn't be seen. I clicked into the next email. It was a group thread I hadn't been added to. My mom had forwarded a planning message to my future sister-in-law, my future sister-in-law's mom, and 2 of my aunts. The thread title was Housewarming Weekend, Keeping It Simple. My future sister-in-law had written, I love Rachel and I know she's done so much, but I'm a little worried that if she's there in a visible way, people will spend the whole party talking about her business and her connections. My mom and I want people to feel like we decorated this house. We want to feel proud of it. My aunt replied, Rachel will understand. She always does. My mom again. Exactly. She's the strong one. She knows when to step back. She's the strong one. She knows when to step back. I want to ask you something, and I want you to really think about it before you answer in the comments. If you found out your family was having a conversation about how to make sure your contribution disappeared, would you stay quiet to protect the relationship? Or would you finally stop pretending your feelings are optional? Because I've been the strong one my whole life. I've been stepping back since I was 17 years old, and my parents told me not to talk about my scholarship in front of my brother because he was sensitive about his grades. I had been trained for years to make myself smaller, and I had been so good at it that they genuinely believed I wouldn't notice. I didn't call anyone that night. I opened a spreadsheet instead. I listed every vendor, every order, every delivery that was still pending, the sectional and lounge chairs from Marcus's company, the dining furniture, the master bedroom set, including the custom headboard I'd had made by a woodworker I'd been sending clients to for 4 years, the lighting fixtures in the entryway and the kitchen, a set of custom window treatments from my drapery vendor, combined remaining retail value, slightly over $30,000, all of it under my company's accounts. None of it delivered yet. In the morning, I drove the 40 minutes to my parents' house. My mom was in the kitchen when I walked in. She looked up, surprised, then smiled the way she always does, wide and warm, like nothing in the world could possibly be wrong. I know about the emails, I said. The smile didn't disappear. It just changed shape into something more careful. Rachel, what emails? I put my phone on the kitchen counter with the thread pulled up. She looked at it. She didn't pick it up. We were just trying to make sure the day felt like theirs, she said. You know how you are. You're so proud of your work. We didn't want it to feel like a portfolio event. A portfolio event. I kept my voice level. Mom. I spent 3 months on that house. I called in favors I'd been saving for years. I waived $54,000 in fees and materials so my brother could have something beautiful. And your solution was to make sure no one knew it came from me. She folded her arms. We said thank you. You said thank you in private, and then told everyone it was someone else's work. My dad appeared in the doorway from the hallway, which meant he'd been listening. Lauren, he said, using my middle name the way he does when he thinks I'm overreacting. Your mother and I just wanted your brother to feel like a man who could provide for his home. You have to understand that. He needs to feel capable. So you built his confidence on a lie, I said. You used my work and told his fiancé's family it was hers. That doesn't make him capable. That makes him a person whose success was faked for him. My dad's jaw tightened. That is not how we see it. Then let me show you how I see it. I sat down at the kitchen table. Every piece of furniture that hasn't been delivered yet is on order through my company accounts. The sectional, the dining set, the master bedroom furniture, the window treatments, the lighting. I'm the account holder. Not your son, not his fiancé, not her mother, who apparently thought she could redirect my orders to a storage unit yesterday. Me. My mom's face went still. What are you saying? I've already called Marcus. I've already contacted the lighting vendor and the drapery company. I've put a hold on every pending delivery until further notice. The silence in that kitchen was the loudest thing I'd heard in years. My mom's voice dropped to something urgent and sharp. Rachel, the housewarming is in 11 days. They're moving in next weekend. You cannot hold those deliveries. That house is half furnished. I know, I said, because I furnished the other half. And then I stood up and left. Before I tell you how my family reacted when they realized I wasn't bluffing, I want to ask you to drop a comment right now. What time is it where you are? And what city or state are you watching from? I want to see just how many people understand exactly what it feels like to be the family member who gives everything and then gets quietly edited out of the credits. I didn't sleep well that night. I kept having the same circular thought. I had not done this to be cruel. I had done this because the alternative was to show up to my brother's housewarming and stand in the corner of a house I had designed, while his future mother-in-law took compliments for the window treatments I'd sourced. And something in me had finally, after 30 years, decided that was not acceptable. My phone became a war zone within 24 hours. My mom. This is not who you are. Call me back. My dad. I don't know what you think you're proving, but you're hurting your brother. My future sister-in-law. Rachel, I really think we should talk. I never meant for it to come across that way. The last one I read 3 times. I never meant for it to come across that way. The thing about that sentence is that it does not contain the words "I was wrong." It contains the words "I got caught and I'm uncomfortable." Those are different things. My brother called on the second day. He sounded tired. I need to understand what's happening, he said. Mom's telling me you're holding the furniture hostage, and Dad's saying you've lost perspective, and I need to hear it from you. Did you know about the emails? I asked. What emails? I sent them to him. All of it. My mom's message about keeping my work invisible. The group thread about the housewarming feeling like his fiancé's accomplishment and not a portfolio event for me. The note about how I'm the strong one who knows when to step back. There was a long silence. I didn't know any of this, he finally said. I swear I didn't. I know you didn't, I said. That's actually the part that should scare you. The story of your house was being written without you in the room. Does that sound familiar? Another silence. Longer this time. I want to ask you honestly, I said, because I want to stop pretending between us. Do you know how many times I covered your rent in your 20s? He was quiet. A few times, he said slowly. 11 times. I have the Venmo records. Do you know who paid the deposit on your first apartment after the second time you moved home? His voice was barely above a whisper. I thought Mom and Dad. It was me. I told them I'd handle it, and I asked them not to make it a big thing. I told myself I was protecting your dignity. What I was actually doing was teaching everyone that my help was invisible and automatic, and didn't require acknowledgement. And this house was supposed to be different. I thought I was finally doing something that would matter in an obvious way. Instead, Mom was already planning how to crop me out of the photo. He didn't say anything for a long time. I'm sorry, he said finally. I know that's not enough, but I am. I'm genuinely sorry. The day before the move-in date, I got a call from my grandmother. She's 71, lives about an hour away, and is the kind of woman who says exactly what she means with zero decoration. I braced myself for a lecture. I heard what's going on, she said. Your aunt called me. I know this looks bad from the outside, I started. She cut me off gently. It looks exactly like what it is. I've watched your parents lean on you since you were in your mid-20s. I thought it was normal family give and take for a long time. Then I started noticing they never talked about what you needed, only what you could provide. That's not give and take, that's just taking. I sat down on my kitchen floor. Why didn't anyone say anything? I asked. Because you made it easy for them, she said. You never asked for anything back. You never made it uncomfortable. You smiled and wrote the check, and everyone got to feel generous by association without actually being generous. I'm not saying what you're doing now is perfectly handled. A boy is moving into a half-furnished house, but I understand why you've reached your limit. You should have reached it sooner. That conversation unfolded. Something in my chest I hadn't realized was clenched. Because here's what nobody tells you about being the capable one. Everyone acts like your capability removes you from the category of people who need to feel seen. Like having resources means you've already been paid. Like the fact that you can absorb the cost means it's fine to make you absorb it. I'm going to ask you something because I think about this a lot. If you're the responsible one in your family, the one who fixes things and covers gaps and says yes when everyone else can't, has anyone ever sat down and asked what you need? Or is it just assumed that you're fine because you haven't fallen apart yet? I scheduled a meeting with the four of us, my parents, my brother, and myself at a conference room in my firm's office. Neutral ground. My home turf in the professional sense, but not domestic, not emotional. A table and 4 chairs and no one's childhood memories on the walls. My future sister-in-law wasn't there. My brother had asked her to give us space for this first conversation, which told me he was taking it more seriously than I'd expected. My dad opened by asking how I could do this so close to the move-in date. His exact words were, "We're 11 days from their first night in that house, and you're playing hardball over hurt feelings." Hurt feelings, I said. That phrase had found me again. Okay. I slid a printed sheet across the table. On it were 3 columns. The retail value of each item I'd sourced, the wholesale price I'd paid through my accounts, and the difference which represented either my waived fee or the discount I'd leveraged. At the bottom, the total. My mom looked at the paper. She didn't say anything. "I'm not playing hardball," I said. "I'm showing you a number you've never looked at directly. When you told Jenna to write my brother off as a man who could provide for his own home, what you were actually doing was building a fiction on top of $54,000 of my money and 3 months of my professional time. You asked me to make this house beautiful, and then you tried to make sure no one knew I'd touched it. If that's how gifts work in this family, I'd like to renegotiate what a gift means." My dad's face was difficult to read. He's not a man who apologizes easily. What he said next surprised me. "We thought we were helping your brother," he said. "We weren't trying to diminish you. We just thought that his confidence mattered more than my truth." I finished. "I know. I've watched you think that my entire life. I'm done making myself smaller so he can feel bigger. That's not love. That's a long con, and we've all been running it together." My mom reached for my hand across the table. I let her take it. "We were wrong," she said. "I need to say that clearly. What we did was wrong. We took what you gave and tried to reshape it into something it wasn't, and we didn't ask you. We should have asked you." I looked at my brother. His eyes were wet. He's always been the one in the family who cries. My parents used to apologize for it when he was younger, which is its own separate thing I don't have time to unpack right now. "You said you were sorry on the phone," I told him. "I believed you. I still believe you, but I need you to understand something. Every time Mom told you I was handling it or that I didn't mind, you had a choice to ask me directly. You chose not to. I know it was easier. I know it let you feel taken care of. But you're not 20 anymore. At some point, you have to be curious about the cost of things even when someone tells you not to worry about them." He nodded slowly. He didn't defend himself. That mattered. Here's what I told them I was willing to do. I would release the deliveries. The sectional, the dining set, the bedroom furniture, all of it. The housewarming could happen as planned. But 2 conditions. First, at the housewarming, my brother would acknowledge my contribution to whoever asked, clearly and honestly. Not thank me in a whisper in the kitchen. Publicly, warmly, the way you credit someone who did real work. Second, going forward, anytime I chose to contribute to anything in this family, money, time, professional favors, it would be discussed in advance, framed as a voluntary gift with clear terms, and never again quietly laundered into someone else's story. My dad looked at me for a long time. Then he nodded. "I want to ask you, before I finish this, do you think requiring credit for what you give is selfish? Because I've turned that question over in my mind more times than I can count. And here's where I've landed. It's not about the recognition, it's about accuracy. When the truth of a situation is that one person gave enormously, and that fact gets erased, it doesn't just hurt that person, it corrupts the whole story. My brother got to believe he was building something. His fiance's family got to feel generous. My parents got to look like they'd raised a son who could provide. All of that felt good for everyone. The only thing it cost was the reality of what actually happened, and the only person who paid that price was me. The housewarming happened 10 days later. I went. My future sister-in-law hugged me at the door with the particular warmth of someone who's trying hard and knows they need to try harder, which I actually respected. The house looked exactly the way I'd designed it. The entryway lighting caught the texture of the original hardwood floor the way I'd planned it would. The sectional in the living room anchored the space without swallowing it. The custom headboard in the master bedroom looked like something from a magazine. I stood in the hallway for a moment just taking it in, and I won't lie to you, I felt proud of it. Not in a "this is my portfolio" way, in a "this is good work" way. Those things can coexist. About an hour into the party, my brother got everyone's attention and made a short speech. He thanked his fiance's family. He thanked our parents, and then he said, clearly, in front of about 40 people, that the design and furnishing of the house had been made possible by his sister, whose firm and professional relationships had transformed the space, and that he wanted everyone to know it because she deserved to have it known. My future sister-in-law's mother looked slightly uncomfortable. My mom looked proud in a way that seemed genuine. My dad caught my eye from across the room and gave me a small nod. It was not a triumphant moment. It was quiet and small and real. My best friend Nicole, who had heard every version of this story over the phone in real time, texted me from across the room. She just sent 3 words. There you are. Here's what I've put in place since then, and I'm telling you this because I think it matters more than the drama of what happened. I've created a policy inside my own life. Anytime I contribute professionally to something involving family design work, vendor access, wholesale connections, it gets documented. A written summary, signed by both parties, that outlines what I'm contributing and what it's valued at. Not because I want to make family feel like transactions. Because I've learned that without documentation, the contribution quietly becomes part of the background, and the background doesn't get a seat at the table. My company's attorney has helped me set up a simple agreement template for family projects. She called it a goodwill agreement. I call it self-respect in writing. The bank of Rachel is not closed. I'm still a generous person. I still believe in taking care of the people I love. But the terms of the account have changed. No more silent sponsorships. No more invisible labor. No more letting people I love tell the story of my contribution without me in it. I know that some of you are going to say I went too far. That holding those deliveries was petty. That I should have handled it with a conversation instead of with contracts and hold orders. And honestly, I've sat with that. But here's my counter. I tried conversations. For years, every time I said that bothers me, someone said, you're too sensitive. Every time I asked for acknowledgement, someone said, you don't need to show off. The conversation wasn't working. The only language that got everyone in the same room and focused was the language of a $30,000 furniture hold. Sometimes the people who love you don't take you seriously until you stop making things easy for them. That's a sad sentence, but it's an honest one. If you've made it this far, I want you to do one thing. Leave a comment and tell me, are you the strong one in your family? Are you the person who fixes things, who covers the gaps, who says yes when no one else can? And if so, when is the last time someone sat down and asked what you needed? Because here's what I know now that I wish I'd known a decade ago. Being capable is not the same as being okay with being invisible. Working hard is not the same as consenting to being erased. And loving someone does not mean you owe them a version of events where you don't exist. I'm still Rachel Donovan. I'm still 30 years old. I still own a design firm in Charlotte, and I still believe in beautiful spaces and the people who build them. I'm still my brother's sister, and I was there when he got married the following spring in a small outdoor ceremony where the decor was simple and the credit was shared honestly. But I'm done being infrastructure. If you're in my life, you see me. All of me. Or this account is closed. Now tell me, if your family tried to erase your name from the story you paid for, would you have held the deliveries? Or would you have smiled and shown up and watched someone else take the credit? And what is one boundary you've been afraid to enforce that you're going to think about differently after today?